Hi, and welcome to the third installment of this unit's notes, Character. Character is the second of the 5 themes of geography, after location, and it may be the one that's most immediately obvious to us. Character basically just means what an area is like. What are the features that maybe distinguish it from other places? Or what are the features that it has in common with other places? Every place that you go to is going to have both similar and divergent features from the place you came from. One thing to look out for is that sometimes this theme is called place, but that's confusing. So let me know if I do it, and watch out in books or other readings if they sometimes do it. We'll try to call it character, but once again, place might sometimes spill out of my mouth. And like location, we talk about character in 2 different ways. The first thing that we look at is physical characteristics. What does a place look like or feel like? You're talking about the natural environment, the major landforms like mountains, like rivers, smaller landforms, hills, cliffs, tributaries, things like that. Also the rocks that are there, the soils, all of these things. You're also talking about the weather. You're talking about climate and climate patterns, not just patterns, but also the extreme events. Like once every 20-25 years, South Carolina gets devastated by a hurricane. Actually, the last one was about 25 years ago, Hurricane Hugo, which I remember waking up to in the middle of the night, and we were actually in the eye of the storm in Columbia, which meant that there was no wind. There was no noise, there was no raining, but a couple of miles away on each side, we were surrounded by the most violent part of the hurricane. But anyway, that is all part of character. You're also talking about plants, you're talking about animals. These plants and animals interact with each other to form an ecosystem, which is another kind of unique way of talking about the characteristics of a place. And a lot of people may not know this, but the movie Sharknado and the sequel were actually really good geographical explorations of the idea of character, because it was talking about the wildlife of a place and also the weather patterns of a place, the tornadoes that you get. So good job, Sci-Fi Channel. The second type of character that we talk about are the human characteristics, and this is also, should be pretty standard for you. What are the people like there? How many people live there? We're looking at a picture of, it looks like maybe Tokyo. I'm not really sure. But a lot of people live there. Clearly, a lot of people work there. It's, it's very gaudy and flashy, so probably a lot of people visit. But that's always the case. You have other places that are very sparsely populated. Like this is one of my favorite countries in the world right here. You've got Bhutan, which actually is a very poor country in terms of material wealth. But since we're looking at the characteristics of the place, we should probably talk about gross national happiness, which is a term Bhutan invented to measure something other than gross national product, mere kind of economic understandings of what was important in life. So these 2 little guys, they're smiling, they're happy, because they live in a place that has different cultural values than a lot of other places. Until a couple of years ago, television was actually completely illegal in Bhutan, and there were no televisions in the entire country. Not bad, if you ask me. But so that's obviously a radical divergence, though, from the American way of life. So here you have very radically different characters of places. When we talk about human characteristics, we're talking about the form of government. So some places we'll be getting, in future units, we'll be talking about differences between, say, democracies and different types of authoritarian governments, theocracies, or totalitarian regimes, which are probably the worst kind to live under. When we talk about human characteristics, we're also talking about culture, about the languages that they speak, the customs they have, their beliefs, religion, just the ways people act. You might have been in cultures where, for instance, The way of talking to people was very different. People stood like 2 inches in front of you and talked really fast when they were just having a normal conversation to you. And you might have thought that was really weird and aggressive. But in reality, that's just a different set of human characteristics that occur in this place. So this is, again, the second of the 5 themes of geography, and we'll be using this as a prism, maybe most often of any of these themes, to kind of figure out things about the world. So, good job. We are done.